The Word of God is filled with treasure and truth. It has the power to change your life. God bless you as you listen.
Covenant victories after the order of Abraham. One of the greatest privileges of the seeds of Abraham is what we call covenant victories. What is a covenant victory? Number one, it is victory that is not out of your might because you are so mighty and you are so great. No, it is victory not because of your number, because you have a very large number. No. Number three, it is victory not because of your prowess and your power. Victory not because of your training and your marvelous preparations. Victory not because of the quality of your armament, your weaponry. No. But it is victory based on what? Your covenant power, your covenant privileges, your covenant provisions, the covenant promises. In fact, your covenant personality. There is something that your covenant personality will do that no weapon will do for you. In Psalm 20, verse 7 and verse 8. Psalm 20, verse 7 and verse 8. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord our God. They are brought down and falling, but we are risen and stand upright. That's the nature of the victory of covenant people. In Deuteronomy chapter 7, you see what God told Israel there. I'll read verse 7. I will also read verse 14 of Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 7, and then 14. It says, the Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because you were more in numbers than any people. For ye were the fewest of all people. Then verse 14, it says, thou shalt be blessed above all people. There shall not be male or female barren among you. But before then, it says, don't be afraid because you think you are small in number, but you will be far effective and you should overcome them. Because it's not by your number. No. God will give you victory. When you read from verse 11 downwards, you see God will say, don't be afraid. Because it's not through your number that you are going to have the victory. He's going to give you victory because of your covenant relationship with him. If thou shalt say in thine heart, this nation are more than I, how can I dispose them? That is verse 17. Thou shalt not be afraid of them, but shalt well remember what the Lord thy God did unto Pharaoh and unto all Egypt. Hear me very well. There are some things that should be like tonic in your life. There are some things that should be the regular thoughts of your heart and the regular conviction deep down within you. And everybody around you should know that this man, you don't fight him. You fight him, you fight trouble. You fight him, you are finished. Look at Esther, chapter 6. You see what happened there. Esther, chapter 6. I'll read from verse 12. Esther, chapter 6. Let's see the confession that was made about the seed of Abraham, which will be the confession they should make about you and about me. Esther chapter 6 from verse 12. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate. But Haman stayed to his house mourning, and having his head covered. And Haman told Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends, everything that had befallen him. Then said his wise men and Zeresh, his wife, unto him, if Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews, if Mordecai be the seed of Abraham, that's what he's trying to say. And that's what you should all know. If Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him, but shalt surely fall before him. It's not just for Mordecai. It's for Alfred. It's for James. It's for Ada. It's for Ngozi. Every one of us is for us. Look at chapter 9. See the devastations that the Jews caused in the land of Shushan. In Esther chapter 9, verse 5. Thus the Jews smote all their enemies with the stroke of the sword. Gaboska. If any enemy defeat you as the seed of Abraham, you have made a mockery of the covenant of God. If any enemy puts you on the defensive, you have made a mockery of the covenant of God. It's abnormal. That was what even those people, unbelievers, they confess, if you know the source of this man, you are finished. Then look at all the people who had planned against them. You see that they destroyed all of them. Come to verse 14. And the king commanded it so to be done. And the decree was given at Shushan. And they hanged Haman's 10 sons. For the Jews, these were like the capital or the key people who were their enemies after the order of their father. They hanged Haman's 10 sons. For the Jews that were in Shushan gathered themselves together on the 14th day also of the month, Adar, and slew 300 men of Shushan. But on the prey they laid not their hands. But the other Jews that were in the king's province gathered themselves together, stood for their lives, and had rest from their enemies, and slew of their foes 75,000. You see, it's an abnormality if they are slaying us. But no, we should be able to slay any foe that rises up against us as the seed of Abraham. Let me just give you some introductory thoughts. Number one, no covenant child of God after the order of Abraham should suffer or be slain like any unbeliever. No, it's not possible. You cannot and you must not be slain after the order of any Gentile. Number two, no covenant child of God should lose any battle, great or small, anywhere that battle is fought. Inasmuch as you are in your covenant relationship, you cannot and you must not lose any battle. Number three, the God of covenants is always ready to fight for you and by your side. So in the strict sense of it, any battle that involves you involves God. So you are, in the strict sense of it, you are not the one fighting. That's why we know him as the Lord of hosts, the God of battles. So he's the one doing the real fighting, and you are holding your peace. That's why at times he even tells us, you will not fight. You will hold your peace, and yet you will see your victory. Covenant people are expected to cause a devastation and terrible destruction in their enemy's camp. We should come to a point that we know that we are not ordinary people. No, there are some things that will just be a persuasion in your heart that I cannot die anyhow. Just like he said, none of us will get to the grave early. He said we will get there in full old age. When he mentioned the grave, I know some people's heart were shaking. No, the grave is not for you as a young man, as a young lady. No. In fact, if you want to get to the grave, grave will reject you. That, who are you? Coming here at this age? There are some people that the grave will reject because they are living contrary to what Baba has done for them. As a covenant child, who will you say you look like that you will be going to the grave early? So, this is what we have seen. Your covenant should be speaking for you. Your covenant will be speaking life. Listen to me. Covenant children should live in this persuasion and conviction. Every time, everywhere. I am not for death, I am for life. Anytime you can please be a covenant child loses any battle, it's an indication that something must have been deadly wrong. It's not normal. So anytime you get involved in a battle and you lose it, that means that something must have been deadly wrong. Look at what happened in Joshua chapter 7. Joshua chapter 7. And see the reaction of Joshua and the words of Joshua after they lost the battle at Ai. Remember? Chapter 6, they brought the formidable walls of Jericho down. Ai was a very small place, but they ran into trouble. But remember, in the very first verse, but the children of Israel committed a trespass. It's an abnormality also for the seed of Abraham to commit a trespass. We thank God for what we are learning from Abraham, but beyond that, we also learn from some little mistakes he had made. Remember, Abraham had no pastor. Abraham had no Bible. Oh, I pity those who have not been coming to the Wednesday meeting. It's been increasing and increasing. Because we have been looking on dominion. Dominion on a daily basis. That means for every battle, for every situation of your life, you must manifest dominion. The devil should never make your head to be bowed. So, we see this issue that these people, they committed a trespass and they lost the battle. But it's not the will. It's never the design of God that we should lose any battle. Because Abraham's seed have been having uncommon victories right from that time till now. Look at Exodus chapter 17. It was like the first major battle they fought. Exodus 17, I will read from verse 12. But Moses' hands were heavy, and they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat thereupon. And Aaron and Hur stayed up his hands, the one on the one side, and the other on the other side. And his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. And Joshua discomfited Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. And the Lord said unto Moses, write this for a memorial in a book, and rehearse it in the years of Joshua. For I will utterly, everyone say utterly. Kariba, that is the design of God. That he destroys anybody that wants to affect your peace. No. That he says, I will utterly destroy Amalek from the under heaven. And Moses built an altar and called the name of it Jehovah Nissi. That is still your God, and it will always be your God. So since that time, any battle that has involved his people, it has been major victory. Apart from the fact that, according to the prediction of the Lord Jesus Christ, because of their sin, AD 70, General Titus got into Jerusalem and they were scattered according to prophecy. But by the grace of God, in May 14th, 1948, they came back as a nation. According to prophecy too, that they came back and that they will always, now they've repented, they are coming back to their covenant land. But the moment they got independence, 1948, they were harassing them like nothing. Harassing them. All the Arab nations, because of them, Israel must be wiped out of the face of the earth. They must not be on the map. And it may interest you that in 1949, between February and July, they made several unsuccessful invasions into Israel. You see, the Arab forces came in from Judah, from Egypt, from Jordan, from Syria, from Lebanon, and Saudi Arabia. You can imagine, about 40 million people came against just about 500,000 people. These people were just about to settle. They've not yet settled. And their intention is that we will wipe them. But we thank God that within a short time, Israel defeated all these people that they were begging, please, biko, enough. But some people may be stubborn. So after the defeat of 1949, they say, no. They went to Regatta. 1956, they came again. Egypt forces had come in strong. In fact, they came in with all their artillery and everything. They felt that they must finish Israel, but no way. Israel came against them. They lost 1,000 people. Israel took 6,000 as prisoners of war. Israel lost only 181 people. But they defeated them. So they were still looking at these people. What have we not been getting right? Some of you might have known about the 6-day war. The 6-day war came in 1967. At this time, they got that help from over 30 nations. To say this time around, in fact, what they said, we are going to wipe away Israel from the face of the earth. This is going to be death to Israel. In fact, the Arab forces were saying, we've been waiting for this war for 20 years, wherein we will blot out Israel from the face of the map. So they amassed the best they can think of. In fact, their president then, Abdel Nasser. I used to know because I was a student of current affairs. I was in the secondary school at that time. So we studied all these things. The 6-day war. So they brought in a lot of the forces. 80,000 forces from Egypt, 40,000 from Syria, 20,000 from Saudi Arabia, 5,000 for Iraq. All of them, they were saying, death to Israel, death to the seed of Abraham. They were thinking, but it is not possible. Kalima, it's not possible. Don't entertain fear that, like we are prayed, that one death is coming. Death will see you and will run. You must come to a point of knowing who you are. That's why, I told you all we are going to study this time is the Abrahamic covenant. We have 2 sections more because we want to finish it and quickly move to something else. So they were, if you see the equipment they brought together, it was no joke. In fact, they bought 420 new jet fighters, 450 armored tanks. That this one, Israel is finished. Kabul. Who can battle with the Lord? Who can battle with the Lord? Who can battle with the Lord?
I say nobody.
Who can battle with the Lord?
Who can battle with the Lord? Who can battle with the Lord? I say nobody. Who can battle with the Lord? Who can battle with the Lord? Who can battle with the Lord? I say nobody. Who can battle with the Lord? Who can battle with the Lord? Who can battle with the Lord? I say nobody.
Any battle against you is a battle against Jehovah. It doesn't matter who's involved. It may be your boss in the place of work. It may be the people from your village. It may be the occult powers. Whoever they are. The moment they come against the seed of Abraham, they will see the God of Abraham. Oh, everybody felt, no. Israel was finished now. But Israel, the seed of Abraham. Before they could even go, Israel had gone for a preemptive strike. Before they would realize it, 400 of their planes wiped off. That could not even leave the ground. In fact, before they realized it, you see Israel marching towards Egypt. He was marching towards Egypt, was marching towards Jordan. They had to say, Biko. Let us stop this thing. The United Nations had to come and say, By the time they were to obey, by the time they agreed small, by that time they have taken more than 6 parts of the land. They were having just about 4,000 square meters. By this time, they now occupy 34,000 square meters. Seed of Abraham, why are you bringing shame to my father Abraham? That somebody will be threatening you and making you to be afraid? They begged them, say, Biko. Because they were almost getting into Cairo, their capitals. They have to beg for them to stop. I'm talking about victory after the order of Abraham. I'm still coming there. I'm just laying the foundation. They've defeated them several times. But they know one thing. The Israelites, they have a day of atonement. That they have 24 hours of fasting before the Lord, commanded. So 1973, they say we'll get them at the day of atonement. Because that day, 24 hours, no food, no work, nothing. So this day of atonement was when they say we will finish Israel. They've been fasting. So after they fasted for about 20 hours, just about 4 hours to finish, you know how weak they will become. That was when, this time around, they said, we strike Israel. We will crush Israel. They came. Yes, they lost about 2,000 people. A small nation to lose 2,000 people is like America losing 1 million people. But they gathered. People have been weak. For them to gather all things together and receive help. By this time, the Soviet Union and about 30 other nations were behind the Arabs. But within 2 weeks, they devastated all the Arab nations. It was after that they said, because let us come and sign peace treaty. Your enemies, they will all fall fast before you in Jesus' name. They had to sign peace treaty. That these people are invincible. Yes. Before that time, the 6-day war, they said that's the shortest and the most effective war in human history. Why are you afraid? Say, why worry? When you can pray.
Trust in Jesus, and He will lead your way. Don't be like doubting Thomas. Oh, trust promise. Why worry? When you can pray. Why worry? When you can pray. Trust in Jesus, and He will lead the way. Don't be like doubting Thomas. Just trust in God's promise. Why worry? When you can pray.
The enemies who don't want to die, they will come and beg you. Today, you are going to activate your covenant victories after the order of Abraham. Our main text is going to be Genesis chapter 14. That's the main text. I'll read from verse 1. And it came to pass in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Eliezer, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations, that this made war with Bera, king of Sodom, and with Baasha, king of Gomorrah, Shinar, king of Admah, and Shemember, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, which is Zoar. Verse 8. And there went out the king of Sodom, king of Gomorrah, king of Admah, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, the same is Zoar, and they joined battle with them in the valley of Shittim. Then, in verse 13, and there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Aner, and these were confederates with Abraham. And when Abraham heard that his brother was taken, that is Lot, his nephew, was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan. And he divided himself against them, he and his servants by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Rehoboth, which is on the left hand of Damascus. You know, when you talk about Damascus, talk about Syria. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot and his goods. Everything you have lost in the battle before, everything that the enemies are taking away from you, I prophesy, you will get them back. We are the seed of Abraham. You see what he did here? What 5 kings could not do. Rebecca, he did it, and he brought back what? All. In this text, we see Abraham in a warfare situation. He fought gallantly, and he came out victoriously. See some beautiful lessons. Number 1, a covenant child after the order of Abraham, again, should never lose any battle, inasmuch as he keeps within his covenant lifestyle. That's where the church is failing. We live like the world, and we are suffering like the world. But the moment you keep within your covenant lifestyle, there's no way. Let there be 10 kings. Let there be 10 nations come against you. They must fall. Number 2, a covenant child should be ready to fight and win anytime. We are not afraid of battle. That's why you heard that song. Onward, Christian soldiers. We are Christian soldiers. Yes. So we are not people who are afraid when there's battle. Yeah, no. We are Christian soldiers. We fight with Christian principles. But beyond the fighting, there is our God. Jesus, don't you see what happened? In Joshua chapter 5, before they got to Jericho, when they saw the angel, say, who are you? Are you for us or are you for our enemies? Who are you? Reveal your identity. So I've come as the captain of the host of the Lord. Carry for all your battles. The captain of the Lord of hosts is always there. A covenant child is never afraid of battles and confrontation. In fact, they make him to be very happy because he knows that testimony is coming. No battle, no confrontation, no testimony. It's then they will know that there's a God in heaven that is greater than any force on earth. So that's why we are not afraid of battles. Just like we see the case of Abraham. Abraham and his household succeeded where 5 kings and nations had failed. Our covenant gives us access not only to divine power and provisions, but also to a divine input in our warfare. Like we have been saying, there's the God of heaven that brings an uncommon input that you yourself too, you'll be afraid. The Yorubas have a proverb that God is the one who defends you and you become afraid. That, when he gets involved in your battle, you almost say, Baba, hey, Biko, please, that's God. He gets into the battle that you yourself too, you are afraid that, is that me? It's you because you are important to him. Listen to me. Covenants guarantee victory even before the battle starts. Covenant with God gives us uncommon abilities and insight in any battle and life's pursuits. Abraham devastated the enemies and brought back lots of spoils. Wow. Apart from the fact that Abraham was a covenant child, there are 3 things I want to mention which will always help you in any life battle. Number 1, Abraham was settled for victory. So the first thing I want to talk about, settled for victory. Number 2, selflessness for victory. These things are very important. Selfishness has made too many people to lose battles. Self, I, my, this, my church, my ministry, my mba. Then number 3, strategy for victory. You see this thing? The number 1, the settled mind. Number 2, the selflessness. Number 3, strategy. Let us look for the first thing, settled for victory. I said even before a covenant child gets into the battle, he has seen the victory. In 1 Samuel chapter 17, you see the case of David. 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 26. And David spake to the man that stood by him, saying, What shall be done to the man that killeth this Philistine, and taketh away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine? That's it. Who is this person who does not have a covenant? So you must understand the power of your covenant. No uncircumcised Philistine should harass you in your place of work. No uncircumcised Philistine should harass you anywhere and everywhere. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine? He has not fought, but he said, I will kill him. I will take away his head. That's a child of God. You see the victory even before the battle. Yes. In Psalm 57, verse 7. Psalm 57, verse 7. And that's what you should be and I should be. Psalm 57, verse 7. My heart is fixed. My heart is fixed on victory. My heart is fixed on devastating and destroying the enemies. I don't have any doubt. You see, your heart situation is very important in this end time warfare. Look at this. My heart is fixed. My heart is fixed for victory. In Psalm 112, verse 8, see what the psalmist says. 112, verse 8. He says, his heart is established. He shall not be afraid until what? he sees his desires upon his enemies. Can I hear you say good amen? So, victory or defeat depends on your heart. But a covenant child, like I say, like Abraham, you see that he was not having any hesitation to go and fight because he was sure of victory. You remember? These people have already defeated 5 kings. They've carried so many spoils until there was one person, you say, I know that the uncle of Lot is here. So he ran to the uncle, Abraham, that, look, oh, your niece is gone. All their people gone. You know, it was because of Lot that Abraham come. You will bring a turnaround into any situation that comes your way. So, because of Lot, Abraham stood. Heaven will always stand because of you. So, they told Abraham suddenly, he rose up suddenly, and he won suddenly. Look at it. Abraham approached the battle with a victory mentality. As you wake up every morning, have victory mentality. As you approach any battle, have victory mentality. All the one that I don't know what will happen to me, you should know what will happen to you. Have victory mentality. They've taken away Lord. Don't worry, I'm coming. I am coming. That's it. That means when I get there, the story will change. Anywhere you get to, any office you get to, you must be a game changer. Listen to me. Covenant people, you have lifestyles that keep them fit and focused for any battle, anytime. If Abraham had been misbehaving, or he's been having affairs with other people's wives, he will not be ready to fight. Or he has been gossiping, or he has been lying. You know, you must have a lifestyle that you are ready. Just like, be ready. That should be the motto of a Christian. Anytime. They are not like battery that has gone down. No, when battery that has gone down in the car, you need to go. You do. Hey, please, come and give me a little helping hand to push. That battery is dead. The battery of a believer must be sound at all times. That was exactly what you see in Abraham. His battle was sound. There should be no room for laxities, no room for lawlessness, no room for lousiness, no room for laziness. You know, some people, even to wake up in the morning, is trouble. You wake up, be yawning. Young men, young ladies, you are yawning like people who are 80 years old or 90 years old. You should be a man ready for battle at every time. No room for what? Laziness. No room for lawlessness. No room for lousiness. No room for lethargy. We should maintain close walk with the God of Abraham. Listen to me. Defeat is never an option. It is not a matter of who the enemy is or who are the enemies against us, but it's a matter of our connection with the God of Abraham, the God of war, the God mighty in battle. Listen to me. Abraham and his seed are only meant for victory. Anything outside victory is what? Abnormal. You are meant for victory every time, all the time. Settle for victory. Let it just know that by God's grace, I cannot be defeated. There are some things that should be settled in your life. No enemy can overcome me. You see, come to a point that there are some things settled that in this world, I cannot be defeated. You see it and you believe it. It's not because of you. It's because of the person you have connected to. It's because of the person you are connected to. There are things that flow to you. They say it flows from head. Wow. And that's what we've been experiencing. I remember even in academics and everything, go and excel. Why? There's a flow of grace. Anything short of excellence is nothing, because there's a flow from up. That's what guarantees the victory. A flow from Jehovah Chabot. They flow from the Lord of hosts. The Lord mighty in battle. So Abraham was settled. But let me just mention this. It's the case of selflessness for victory. Obviously, Abraham must have had his own program before they told him. Many of us, we don't have victories in life because we are too self-centered. I don't want anything that will disrupt my plan. Oh, my plan. Your plan? Abraham had his plans. Abraham had his program. But when there was call, Abraham left his program for God's program. Listen to me. This is a lesson I've learned for over 40 years. God never overlooks sacrifice. But some of you don't know what it means to don't sacrifice anything. I know what I've planned. My family. I can't leave my family now. I know what there are things we have set down for our family. Abraham too had family. But whatever might have been his plan, there is a priority. There's an urgency. So that's what I call selflessness. Abraham looked beyond personal interest. Secondly, Abraham looked beyond personal convenience. Thirdly, Abraham looked beyond personal ego. Am I going to fight for this young man who even insulted me and went and took the very water plain of Sodom? When you are a child of God, you don't think about all those things when you want to have victory in life. Many of us are too self-centered. Who did you say? Lord, that young boy who shows above his father. A Christian is not thinking about past odds. Many of you have books of odds. I know what he spoke to me against me at this time. Let God teach me a little lesson. Not Abraham. Let God make him know that you don't insult your fathers. Abraham never allowed personal ego. Abraham never allowed any personal pain of the insult, pain of disrespect. No. He also never allowed any personal program. Listen to me. Selflessness makes you to fight without distractions. You know, when there's self-centeredness, there's always an internal agitation. And I've seen that is why many people have lost battles. There is something within. I've told you before, you cannot be fighting an internal war and an external war at the same time. Many of you have many things to battle with within. Huh? Who did you say? You may not say it out. It serves him right. Next time you will know how not to insult an adult. Not Abraham. Selflessness. Some of us, we are too self-centered. Who is that person? Where is he from? Is that man, that person from Abakaliki? Abakaliki people. No. Abakaliki people. Whether it's from Abakaliki, whether it's from Oka, in as much as a member of the family, a kingdom person, you rise up all your heart. Selflessness makes you to fight without distraction. Secondly, it makes you to fight without disorientations. Thirdly, it makes you fight without drags. Selflessness or selfishness will drag you back. We drag you back. You cannot run well. You cannot move well. Selflessness enables you to be focused, enables you to be fervent, enables you to finish well. You don't cut your life dear to you. That's it. You desire the victory for the good of others and for the glory of God. Look at Paul. No time now. You can read it later on. Acts chapter 21 from verse 11. They say, accept this, and they say, I don't count my life dear to me. Acts chapter 20, Acts chapter 21. My life is nothing. That's what I can finish my course with joy. Many of us, we are too much concerned about my life, my this. Nah. Look at Esther chapter 4 from verse 13. Say, if I perish, I perish. Not perish because of anything of our own. It's just because he wanted to go and intervene for other people. So, please, take off selflessness as the seed of Abraham. And we'll have more victories in Jesus' name. So, we have seen settled for victory, selflessness for victory, then strategy. Then I'll be stopping there probably in the next 5 minutes. Strategy for victory. Look at it again. In Genesis chapter 14, it's so easy for you to see it. Let me read from verse 14. That's where, again, many people, especially Pentecostals, that's where they fail. Genesis 14:14. And when Abraham heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318. Let your house be a place of soldiers, Christian soldiers, not a place for gossips, not a place for sissies, lazy people. Let your children, your daughters, and your sons be Christian soldiers. Ready to fight because they never allow any sort of abnormalities. Some of you are not taking care of your children. They come with their boyfriends and their girlfriends to your house. You can't fight any battle. They come with their drunkards as friends to your house. You can't fight any battle. If these were the people that Abraham had, he cannot equip them at this time. You must look at people who are vigilant, people who are alert, people who are steadfast, people who are focused, people who can be depended upon, not people who will disappoint you when it counts. But look at it. He harmed them. Look at verse 15. See the strategy? He divided himself against them, he and his servants, by night. Can you imagine? By night. Some of us, it's the night, you just be sleeping. You have no time to really wait. Like most of the time, Saturday, Sunday, I don't even sleep normal. That is when I sleep at all. At times I have to do everything to keep awake because I spend most of the time praying. In fact, I may just sleep across the bed. I don't sleep in the normal way, but I don't want to sleep. You have a lot of victories in night. You take the enemy by surprise. That's the truth. That's when you get the enemy. But if the enemies are sleeping, you too, you are sleeping. Oh, Mashio, what a pity. When they knew the people were sleeping, then he divided them and smote them and pursued them unto Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought back his brother Lot, and his goods, and the women also, and the people. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Chedorlaomer and the kings that were with him, at the valley of Sheva, which is the king's dale. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. And he blessed him, and he said, Blessed be Abraham of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth, and blessed be the Most High God, which hath delivered thine enemies into thine hand. And that's my prophecy today. All those enemies that have been troubling you, my Father will deliver them into your hands. It's God who does it. You remember where I started from? It's not by your power. It's not by your might. It's not by your struggle. Not he that willeth. Not he that runneth. But what? But God. That's it. That's it. That's it. Our God is a God of strategy. When you look at 2 Samuel chapter 5 from verse 18, you read it very well. When David was about to fight the Philistines, he went, the Lord said, let go. The second time, when the Philistines came again, he went back to God. Let's maintain up-to-date relationship with God. God said, this time around, don't go. You should first a compass strategy. When you will hear the sound among the mulberry tree, then that time you know that Baba has gone ahead of you. You now attack. You see, God is a God of strategy. If you come to that Joshua chapter 8, after they lost the first battle against the Ai, God said, no. Go now and attack them. When you see them, they run out as if they are overcoming you. Then some people are already lying in ambush. As you run out, they will pursue you. Set their city on fire. What I'm trying to say is that our strategies are important in life. Strategy makes you to fight wisely. Strategy makes you to fight tactically. Strategy makes you to fight orderly. Strategy makes you to fight powerfully. With strategy, you see the end from the beginning. 7 things. With strategy, you devastate the enemies easily and completely. Number 2, with strategy, you can spring a surprise element. Just like these people that they were still sleeping when Abraham had come, when they would still be sleeping. That's part of strategy. Probably they had kept awake all through. So with strategy, you can spring a surprise element. Number 3, with strategy, you are never put on the defensive, but you are on the offensive. 4, with strategy, you have your path of well charted. This is where we go through. This is how we go through it. This is where we not pass. Your path is well charted. Number 5, your plans are beautifully laid out. 6, you don't fight anyhow, haphazardly. You are not easily disorganized. You outwit your enemies. With strategy, you fight with 3 things. Consciousness of your covenant. Very important. Number 2, connection to your covenant. Number 3, commitment to your covenant. Remember, we talk about covenant victories. After what? The order of Abraham. He recovered all. You will recover all.
Thank you for listening. God bless you